Hello everyone and welcome to the class of Business Studies. Today we are trying to finish chapter 9, that is financial management, and these are the contents, that is concept, role and objective, decisions, financial planning, capital structure, fixed and working capital. Starting with meaning of financial management. When we talk about financial management, it is very compulsory and important for any business firm to have finance, that means accumulation of finance, in efficient utilization of finance and efficient distributing and disposal of this surplus funds for smooth working of the company. That means it is very necessary for each and every firm to have proper collection or acquisition of finance. According to the role of financial management is size and composition of fixed asset. That means all such kind of fixed asset which they need to have, that means it depends basically upon the firms, that if it is a large scale firm then they require large funds, that is composition of fixed asset must be more, depends directly on investment decisions. That means each and every composition of this assets depends directly on the decisions of investment. The amount and composition of current assets depends upon the amount of fixed asset and the credit policy of the company, the inventory management of the company, the amount of long term and short term financing. That means they require long term financing also and short term financing also for day to day routine work. So, it depends upon the financial management of the firm. Fixing debt equity ratio in capital, this is also should be done under financial management, and all items in profit and loss account are affected by the decisions of financial management. Now, these are the objectives of financial management: profit maximization, proper utilization of funds, maintenance of liquidity and meeting of financial commitments. Now, financial decisions as such, we can have three classifications, that is investment decision, financing decisions and dividend decisions. Under investment it is capital budgeting and working capital. Under financing decisions it is equity, debt and financial institutions. In dividend decision there are two decisions need to be taken against retained earning and distribution of dividend. Now, starting with that every company requires basically or needs to take the financial decision, in which the first decisions which they need to take is about investment decisions. So, resources as such, we all know, that is the firm knows that the resources are very scarce in terms of finance or funds, which is very scarce, or there is a scarcity, but still the uses are alternate, that is it can be put to alternate uses. So, a firm must choose where to invest. That means firm needs to take care or make decisions regarding where to invest the funds, which is the most preference or priority should be given. Investment decisions relates to decisions about how the firm's funds are invested in different assets. That is, these two assets are working capital and capital budgeting decisions. That means related to investment decisions they need to take decisions regarding two, that is working capital decisions and capital budgeting decisions. In working capital decisions it is short term investment, whereas capital budgeting which is a long term investment decisions. Now, factors which affect the investment decisions or capital budgeting decisions, it is first cash flow of the project. That means whatever firm's cash flow, that is how much receipts they are receiving, that is the series of cash receipts and payments over the life of an investment proposal should be considered and analyzed for selecting the most appropriate source of investment. Second, rate of return, that is what is the expected rate of return which firm is getting from each proposal of investment, and risk involved in them should be taken into account to select the best proposal regarding investment. That is, selecting the proposal here means selecting the best means of source of investment. Third is investment criteria involved. Various investment proposals are evaluated on the basis of capital budgeting techniques. These involve calculation regarding investment amount, interest rate, cash flow and rate of return. Second is financing decisions after investment decisions. Again, this is second decisions which the firm needs to take regarding source of finance or composition of funds from various long term sources, as it is a long term decision. Decision whether or not to use a combination of ownership and borrowed funds. That means the firm needs to take care whether they will go with ownership funds or with borrowed funds or the mix of both. Determining their precise ratio, that is the proportion of both the funds, that is owner's fund or borrowed funds. Firm needs a judicious mix of debt and equity. That means the judicious or best decision is to make use of mix of debt as well as equity. So, debt involves financial risk and risk of default on payment of interest on borrowed funds and the repayment of the principal amount, whereas shareholders funds involve no fixed commitment to payment of returns or repayment of capital. Now, which are the factors which affect the financing decision? The first is cost, that is the expenses of raising the funds from different sources which needs to be taken care. That is, they need to decide which is the cheapest source should be selected. Second is risk, that is a risk factor which is always associated with the borrowing of money with different sources is different. So, more risk is associated with borrowed funds in comparison to owner's fund, as interest is paid on it and it is repaid also, whereas after a fixed period of time or an expiry of the time period or tenure. Third decisions which they need to take on financing is flotation cost, that is the cost involved in issuing securities such as broker's commission, underwriter's fees, expenses on prospectus, etc. These are considered as the cost which requires to in flotation are called flotation cost. So, higher the flotation cost, less attractive is the source of finance. That means the firm needs to give more and more in terms of selecting this particular proposal. Fourth is cash flow position of the business. That means business need to take that what is their present cash flow position of a company is good enough. That means if it is good enough, then it can easily use borrowed funds which is on high risk and pay interest on time. Fifth is control considerations. In case the existing shareholders want to retain or want back the complete control of business, then finance can be raised through borrowed funds. But when they are ready for dilution of control, that means they wanted to have division of control over business, then equity shares can be used for raising finance. Sixth is state of capital markets. During boom period, finance can easily be raised. That means during this particular period, finance can easily be raised by issuing shares, that is through securities. But during depression time period, raising finance by means of debt is very easy. Now, third decisions which they need to take after investment and finance, that is dividend decisions. Dividend is what? It is that part of divisible profits that is distributed to the owners, that is the shareholders of the company, and it result in current income for the shareholder. That means this is one of the current income for all the shareholders who are getting this dividend. Retained earnings is equal to proportion of profits kept in, that is reinvested in the business for the business. Now, dividend decisions, when we say, it is whether to distribute the earnings to shareholder, that is in which ratio, that is rate which is divided, or to finance long term profits of the firm. So, it must be done keeping in mind the firm's overall objective of maximizing the shareholders' wealth. That means whatever rate they are fixing for dividend, that must be taken care according to the objective of maximizing their wealth. Now, the factors which affect this dividend decisions are earnings, that is companies having high and stable earnings could declare high rate of dividend to their shareholders, so to maximize their wealth, and as dividends are paid out of current and past earnings. Second is stability of dividend, that means they must be ensure that this dividend must be stable given to them, that company generally follow the policy of stable dividend policy to equity shareholders. The dividend per share is not altered or is not changed in case of earnings change by small proportion or increase in earning is temporary in nature. Third is growth prospect. In case there are growth prospects for the company in the near future, then it will retain its earning and thus no or less dividend will be declared. Fourth is cash flow position. Again, this particular cash flow position will be there, that is dividend involve an outflow of cash. That means all those dividend which is given to the shareholders, it is an outflow of cash, and thus availability of adequate cash must be there with the firm for most requirement for declaration of the dividend to the shareholders. Fifth is preference of the shareholders. That means while deciding about dividend, the preference of shareholders is also taken into account. In case shareholder desire for dividend, then company may go for declaring the same, that is providing the dividend to them. Sixth is taxation policy of the company. to pay tax on dividend declared by it. So if tax on dividend is higher, company will prefer to pay less by way of dividend to their shareholders, whereas if tax rates are lower, then they will be able to provide more and more dividends to their shareholders. Next topic is financial planning. When it involves preparation of a financial blueprint of an organization, that is, company is actually designing, or company is all thinking about what is the financial plan of the company to invest in the business. It is the process of estimating the fund requirement of a business and determining the most possible source to raise the funds. Now, what is objective of financial planning? First, to ensure availability of funds. That means the firm must ensure that how the sources of funds will be raised, and they are required. It includes estimation of the funds required for different purposes, that is for long term requirement as well as short term requirement. Estimate the time, that means what amount of time which is required for this funds need to be made available, and specifying the source of these funds, to see that the firm does not raise resources unnecessarily. That means these resources, wherever they are arranging this, it should not be wasted. If there is shortage of funds, firm cannot meet its payment obligation, whereas if surplus funds are there, then do not earn returns but also add to cost. Second is importance of financial planning. That means, as we discussed the objectives of this, now what is the importance of this financial planning for the firm is to ensure availability of adequate funds for long term requirement or short term requirement at right time, and to see that the firm does not raise funds unnecessarily. It provides policies and procedures for the sound administration of finance, which is must to function. It results in preparation of plans for the future. Thus, new projects can be taken very smoothly if adequate funds are available with the company. It attempts to achieve a balance between inflow and outflow. That means whenever they are thinking about taking financial decision or making financial plans, they need to make a balance between the inflow and the outflow, that is receipts and payments. And adequate liquidity must be maintained throughout the year. It serves as the basis of financial control. The financial management attempts to ensure utilization of funds in a best way through best sources. Capital structure now. Capital structure means the proportion of debt and equity used for financing the operations of the business. So, capital structure can be calculated as debt divided by equity. So, financial leverage, this particular topic is there in your book, financial leverage, or we can call it trading on equity. It refers to proportion of debt in the overall capital. That is, what should be the proportion of debt in the overall capital structure. Financial leverage can be calculated as debt divided by equity, where D for debt and E for equity. Trading on equity refers to a practice of raising the funds or proportion of debt in the capital structure such that the earning per share increases. A company resorts on trading on equity. That means any company or any firm, when it is thinking over trading on equity, when the rate of return on investment is greater than rate of interest on the borrowed funds, that is, the company resorts to trading on equity in situation of the favorable financial leverage. That means when they are getting favorable return on the investment, as the difference between the return on investment and the rate of interest on debt increases, the earnings per share increases. The use of trading on equity is explained with the help of this example. Suppose there are two situations for a company. In situation 1, it raises a funds of rupees 5 lakh. That means situation 1, a company is raising finance through raising a fund of 5 lakh through equity capital only, not with the borrowed fund. And in situation 2, it raises the same amount through two sources, that is 2 lakh through equity capital and the remaining 3 lakh through borrowings, that is through borrowed funds. Also, suppose the tax rate is 30% and the interest on borrowing is 10%. So, the earning per share in the two situation is calculated as follows. Now, you can see here with the help of this table, this is situation 1 and this is situation 2. Earning before interest and tax, the amount for situation 1 which is 1 lakh, amount for situation 2 that is 1 lakh. Interest rate, why? Because it is required only in situation 2 when we have borrowed the funds, that is 30,000 only according to the interest rate. Earning before tax, In situation 1 it is 1 lakh and in situation 2 it is 70,000. Why? Because we have taken the interest rate as 30% of 1 lakh. Then tax, in situation 1 it is 30,000, whereas in situation 2 it is 21,000 of 70,000. Earning after tax, again the amount is difference, number of equity shares, which in situation 1, that is if a company is going with situation 1, they will receive 50,000, in situation 2 they will receive only 20,000. Now earning per share, if we are going to calculate, it can be calculated as earning after tax divided by number of equity shares, and in situation 1 we will get 1.4, whereas in situation 2 we get 3.95%. So it is very clear that in the second situation the earning per share is greater, that is by 3.95%, that in the first situation. In the second situation the company takes advantage of trading on equity and raises the earning per share. Here the return on investment is calculated as earning before tax divided by total investment. Now which is 20%. So while the interest on the borrowing is 10%, the trading on equity is very profitable for the firm. However, it should be noted that trading on equity is profitable and should be used only when the return on investment is greater than interest on borrowed funds. In case the return on investment is less than rate of interest to be paid, the trading on equity should be avoided or ignored by any firm or company. Now suppose instead of rupees 1 lakh, the company earns just rupees 25,000. That means in the first example we have seen that the firm is earning 1 lakh. So instead of that, if company is earning only 25,000, in such a case the earning per share are calculated as follows. That is earning before interest and tax in situation 1 and situation 2. Again we revise the things when we have understood that the firm is earning 25,000 instead of 1 lakh. So if we calculate each and everything, what we found is in situation 1 we have got 1.4, whereas in situation 2 it is 0.35, less than situation 1. Clearly in this case the earning per share in situation 2 falls, whereas here the return on investment is only 8%, whereas there the return on investment was 12%, while the interest on the borrowing is 10%. Thus in the situation the trading on equity is not favorable. Now here in the second example trading on equity is not favorable, whereas in first example trading on equity was favorable for the firm, and hence in the second situation if it is not favorable, that is trading on equity, it should be discouraged by the firm. Hence it can be said that a firm can use trading on equity if it is earning high profits and can increase the earning per share by raising more and more funds through borrowings only. Now factors which determine this capital structure, the first is cash flow position. That is again each and every firm, whenever they are making decisions regarding finance, they need to see, that is when they are determining or taking decision, they need to see about the cash flow position of the company. The company should opt or go for debt capital only in case of strong cash flow positions with the company. If the company is receiving more, company is having surplus profit, then only they should go for the debt capital. This is because debt cash is required to pay the principal as well as the interest on the debt. Second is debt service coverage ratio. That means the company should see that what is the coverage ratio for the debt which they have taken. So this ratio shows the cash payment obligation or responsibility of a company as against the availability of cash. In case of high debt coverage ratio, the company can opt for debt. Third is equity cost, that is cost of whatever they are receiving from equity shareholder is directly related to the financial risk faced by the company. With higher financial risk, shareholders' expectation of return will be increasing. This in turn implies that the cost of equity rises. With high cost of equity, it becomes difficult for the company to opt for equity, then they will go with borrowed funds. Fourth is condition of stock market. It is very easy in terms of opt for equity capital in case of a good stock market condition. That means if the condition of stock market is good, they are receiving more from the shareholders, then they should go with equity capital. On the other hand, in case of poor stock market condition, it becomes difficult to opt for equity capital. Fifth is interest coverage ratio. That means they should also see towards what is the coverage ratio for the interest. This ratio refers to the number of times earning before interest and tax is able to meet the interest rate obligations. Higher interest coverage ratio implies lower risk. That means if the interest coverage ratio is higher, then it requires, receives or implies lower risk for the company, thereby the company can opt for higher portion of debt in the capital structure. Sixth is flotation cost. Higher the flotation cost of a particular source in terms of broker's commission, underwriting's commission, lower is the component in the capital structure. For instance, if the flotation cost involved in equity is high, its components in capital structure would be very low. Now starting with fixed capital, that means we have discussed on fixed and working capital requirement. Now when we say fixed capital refers to investment for long term assets. That means all those fixed assets including plant and machinery, building, equipments, etc. Investment in fixed asset is for longer duration, that is for longer period of time, which firm needs to invest once and whenever it is required, whereas other short term investment or other short term assets like current assets which they require to do or which they require to dispose the funds for a shorter period of time, and they must be financed, and it is recurring in nature. So they must be financed through long term sources of capital. Decisions relating to fixed capital involve huge capital funds and are not reversible without incurring heavy losses. Factors which affect the requirement of fixed capital now. First is nature of business. If it is a manufacturing concern, that is if it is a manufacturing industries, it requires huge investment in terms of fixed asset, and thus huge fixed capital is required for them. But trading concern need less fixed capital. That means all those industries which are related to trade or trading concerns or trading firm, they require less fixed asset. So they are not required to purchase any plant and machinery, build equipments, etc. Second is scale of operation. Then it is a large scale or small scale. An organization operating on large scale requirements needs more fixed asset, whereas a firm or a business who is dealing in small scale organizations, they require less fixed asset in comparison to large scale. Third is choice of technique. An organization using capital intensive technique, they require more fixed asset, that is required more investment in terms of plant and machinery, in terms of adopting methods, new technology, and using labor intensive. That means in comparison to labor intensive technique, they require less amount or less funds on fixed asset. Fourth is technology upgradation. Organization using assets which become obsolete faster require more fixed capital as compared to other organizations. Fifth is growth prospect. Companies having more growth plans, more expansion plans require more fixed capital in order to expand production capacity. More plant and machinery are required. Now sixth is diversification. That means those firms who are diversifying or changing their business every now and then. In case a company goes for such kind of change, then it will require more fixed capital to invest in fixed asset like plant and machinery and so on. Next is working capital. When we talk about working capital, it refers to capital which is required for day-to-day or routine working of an organization. Apart from investment in fixed asset, every business organization needs to arrange for the need of current assets which can be converted into cash or equivalent to cash within a period of 1 year. That means it is required for a short period of time only. They provided liquidity to the business, that is this working capital which provides liquidity to the capital, and this working capital can be of two types, that is gross working capital and net working capital. Investment in all the current assets is called gross working capital, whereas the excess of current asset over liabilities is called net working capital. Now which are the factors which affect this working capital requirement for an organization? First again, nature of business. A trading organization, that is any firm which is providing services in relation to trade, needs lower amount of working capital as compared to a manufacturing industry or organization. Second is scale of operation. An organization operating in a large scale will require more inventory, and thus working capital requirement will be more in comparison to a small scale organization. Third, business cycle. In the times of boom, that is profitable time, more production will be undertaken and so more working capital will be required, and during the time of depression, less working capital requirement will be there. Fourth can be seasonal factors, that is during a peak season, whenever demand is more for certain product, it requires more production to be done, thus high working capital will be required and in compared to a lean season. Fifth is credit allowed. If credit is allowed per concern to its customers, then it will require more working capital, but if goods are sold on cash basis, not on credit basis, then less working capital is required. Sixth is credit avail. If a firm is able to purchase raw materials on credit basis from its suppliers, then less working capital will be required. This is all about today's video. Till we will meet in next video. Till then, thank you. Goodbye.